Nelson, who is my brother, my children call him Uncle Kevin. They call him their uncle. He's like a part of our family, and thank you, Mother, for lending him to us, because my mother really and truly loved him as a son. He really was a person that watched over and kept her through the years. And before she left here, he was right there by our side. And we just thank you all for also being by her side through the days that she had that was left. She loved this church. She loved each and every one of you. She bragged about it. I mean, one of her wishes was for all of us to be here to worship with her. We didn't get a chance to do that, but we all got a chance to come and worship with you. Amen. And I think it was about the same thing to her in her heart. She was pleased with that. Amen. But I'm going to go into my message today, because when it was something that I did before Bishop Nelson asked me to speak today, and God had already given me a message and was expounding on that message. And then he called and asked me, he said, we having Family and Friends Day, and I told him we were coming, and he said, that's great, I want you to speak for us. And I said, okay. So I hung up the phone, and I think I pondered that for about 30 minutes to 2 hours, and the next thing I said is, what on earth did I do? And in my mind, I couldn't figure out what I was going to do. I was like, what? But I want to tell a story, because that's how I do my messages. That helps me a lot. That gives you a story. It's almost like a parable, but this one is real life. I sometimes watch this show on my downtime, which is when my husband is usually getting a nap, or we've done errands or whatever. And I come home and I watch some of the shows on TV, but this one was called The Hoarding Show. Have y'all ever heard of that one? Yes. So I turned on the TV and I was just sitting and watching it, and there was this particular lady. I know it's a lot of them, but this particular show, the owners of the house had taken it back. I don't know if she was written to own or what. They had taken it back from her because the neighbors had complained of it, and the house was condemned, and she had to move, had no place to go, but they had to take it back from her so they could get it cleaned up. So they had to have hazmat suits to go in. It was 2 of them. And they were clothed from top to bottom. And they walked over mounds and mounds of things that she had collected that she felt like was valuable to her. And you can see clearly on TV that these things had no value whatsoever. Amen. It was just a mound of mess. Wet, food, anything that you can name. It was a mountain over where they was walking over it like this right here to get in. The smell was awful, of course you may know. And when they started walking through the mess, all of a sudden these rats started coming out. And with the hazmat suits on, they was walking. And I was running with them. To finally they said, we can't do this. So they went outside, mad with the exterminator, and called him up and said, we paid you. And there's rats coming from everywhere. We paid you to keep this house up and to spray it and put down what was needed. So the exterminator came, and he said, let me take you a walk around the yard. So they went outside of the house, and the rats, which were not little, they were big, even the babies were big. They were walking, had holes about this time, digging into, and you and Cheryl hit it, the foundation of that house. They were digging, they had holes where they were just going in, coming out, doing their thing, and the holes that they dug actually led into the house. I didn't even know the rats could do that. But they were coming and going, taking over like they owned the house, doing what they wanted to do. So they called the lady over to the house and they said, let me show you something. And she came and she looked and she said, oh, look at the mousey. They said, the exterminator said, that's not a mouse. That's a rat. But they showed her how everything in the house that she had, there was nothing to save. Everything was messed up because, of course, rats all over everything, so all of this stuff gonna be over all your stuff. And they told her, this is nothing in here to save, so we have to get rid of everything. She cried. She cried because now she was homeless. Not only homeless, but she lost all of her so-called goods that she had hoarded up and thought were valuable, and found out they damaging the very foundation of the house, where it was very, which could have come close to tearing it down. Well, this is what these owners did. They were able now to clean out the house. They didn't try to do it themselves. They called some professional people to do it because I think they were scared. But the more and more they dug, the worse and worse it got. Till even a little possum was down there underneath the stuff. I was hollering. I'm sorry. I just couldn't imagine. I looked around the house to see if there was anything that I could throw away. And I had to be very careful because I was about to throw the things I needed away. Oh, wow. Well, they took over the house and they got rid of everything in it. Built up the foundation where the rats were able to come in and out like they wanted. And then what they did was they perfected the house and they called her back and allowed her to buy it back. Fully swept clean. That's what they did. In Matthew 16:18 through 19, Jesus told Peter, now I say to you that you are Peter, which means rock. And upon this rock, right here, I will build my church. Yeah, that's what we are. Yes. And all the powers of hell would not conquer it. And I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. That whatever you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven, and whatever you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. All right. So what I'm doing here to do is talk about spiritual hoarding. Because we had it. I said, what a good day to do it. Yes. When family and friends come together, instead of doing it at a funeral, where the person wanted you to talk about it. We're here today to talk about it while we're still in the land of the living. Right? That's a fact right now. We hold bitterness. We hold rage and anger and unforgiveness, hurt, and all kinds of evil behavior. And all of these things cause our foundations to be destroyed. Right. This heart can't hold so much. This heart can't deal with so much. And all of these things that we hold in that we think are valuable to us are destroying us. Because we hoarded them. And we find that we victimize ourselves to the point of saying, we got the right to hold on to these things. Because she did this to me, and he did this to me, and I would never, ever forgive it. I would never forgive. And the way that you say in that, you can see what it does to your heart. You can see the scowl in it, because that's what it takes, to say it. You don't say, I will never forgive him. I will never forgive him. You don't say it that way, because it's an action that causes you to say it in a way that you mean what you say. But in all truth, Jesus said in John 16:33, and I'm not minimizing any hurts. I'm not minimizing any wrongdoing. What I'm telling you is, yes, it exists. Yes, it happens to us. And Jesus said, in this world we're going to have trouble. But we ought to take heart, because he has overcome the world. There's nothing that Jesus hasn't already experienced that has happened or is happening to us. Y'all know how they did him when they arrested him? It was on. I mean, they did some awful things to him. And you can read it in in what is it? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you can read how bad they treated them. When you spit on somebody, when you slap them, when you do all of these things, that is what the heart holds now. That's what we do, because when people do us wrong, it feels like a slap, or like they spit on us, or like they did this to us. It feels like those things. But he said we wouldn't have that trouble. And when we allow bitter roots to grow, they branch out. They don't want to stay in our heart. They branch out to other parts of us too. And you can see as we walk in that anger, we walk in that bitterness, we walk in that fear, we walk in all of those things. You can see it. Have you ever seen a person's face and you say, Lord, I pray for them because I don't know what might have happened to them. But they don't let it go. They like that victim stage. And you know what else happens? The enemy, who's like those rats, start digging into your foundation. Isolate you. Makes you stay away from people. Overwhelms you. You're sad. And you know what you say about those spirits? The mousies. You see them as the mousies. They're not mousies, they're rats. They come to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what they come to do. But our God has come to give us life and life more abundantly. And to clean our hearts and to restore our lives. You know, there's scripture in Psalm 51, 7 and 8. And I know we know the ones that says, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit in me, which is wonderful. We know that one. But 51, 7 through 8 says, purify me for my sins. Because holding those things in your heart are sins. You're sinning when you do that. You don't have a right to do it. You have to let it go so that God can heal you, and hear you. It says, purify me from my sins and I will be clean. Wash me and I will be whiter than snow. Oh, give me back my joy again. You have broken me, now let me rejoice. Amen. Who wants to be free in here? Have you ever seen a free person? Some people say, I used to work a job and they used to say, why do you have to smile all the time? Nothing can be, I mean, nothing can be, that for you to be happy all the time. And it wasn't that I was trying to show off. It was just that was in me. I was learning every day of my life to be free. I was learning every day of my life to let go. Because I knew God had something special for me. In relationships that I was in, God had something special for me. That's special sitting on the front row. A relationship that was awful and allowed me to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Amen. You know, this is my message, and I didn't come up here to be long because I know everybody ready to go. But one of the messages that I have from this is we have to let the Lord transform us before we transition. By the renewing of our mind and our hearts. So that when we transition, we ain't got to worry about none of this stuff. We don't have to say, oh Lord, have somebody worry in our last breath. Then we say, Lord, forgive me. That's putting pressure on other people. The ones who pray for you, the ones who love you, the ones who say, they don't need to worry and wonder whether or not on your last breath you'll be able to say that. You want to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Let me give you a short testimony about Mother Matthews. And I'm going to try to get through it without tears. But on the day she transitioned before our very eyes, months and months before that, we saw somebody transform into something that we weren't really ready to let go of. I mean, sweet as candy.
Yeah.
Because in her life before that, there were things that happened that could cause bitterness and anger and hurt. And rightfully so, she was to feel hurt and upset and everything, but not to hold those things. But when we hold those things, it takes a while for us to get from under them if we allow them to sit there and fester and grow branches. Because see, those branches wrap themselves around our hearts and won't let it go. But it has to be some cutting done to get it away. That's how God cuts branches. That's how He'll cut you off if you're not a branch towards Him. We saw a transforming in her like we haven't seen before, and it was enjoyable to be around, at least for that year before. And when it was time for her transition, after her transforming, all of us were able to, God blessed us. My sister came in 4 days before. My brother came up a day or two before. We were all there, and she saw us all there. The grandchildren were there. All of them were providing her care. And in the moment that she was there was her favorite scripture that we all said together. And I want us to say it with me. Say it with me. It's Psalm 23. Come on, we can say it together. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for Thou art with me. Thy rod and Thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and Thou anoint my head with oil. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. She waited until all of us were there. We said Psalm 23 together. And she transitioned just like that. Even trying to say it with us. And she left us just like that. But there was a transformation that we could say, we miss you with tears, but we know where you are. Amen. Right. We knew our heart is full of love. We knew everything. And what a comfort to know that.
Yes.
What a comfort to not even have to guess that. What a comfort to be able to stand before you and say, I know my mama is in glory. She can't come back to me, which sometimes we wish she would, but we know she wouldn't come, even if we asked her, but we can go to her. So I'm going to leave you with this scripture in Ephesians 4:31 and 32. And it says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Amen. Amen.